Hi, thanks so much for joining me. So today I have my TBR and my daughter's TBR for the upcoming months. I'm probably going to label this video like mainly my October TBR, but it's kind of like my fall autumn TBR, but mainly focused on like some Halloween books and some kind of books that I've been setting aside to read in the month of October. Okay, so the first thing I thought of when I think of something I want to read or reread for the month of October is Edward Gorey. And I keep wanting to add more books to my Edward Gorey collection. They're kind of hard to find. I mean, you can find them at thrift stores and things like that. But this is my Edward Gorey collection so far. And I want to show it with you guys. Basically, I'm not sure. I think his books were technically made for adults. They're kind of presented in like a picture book form. But yeah, so my daughter does like them though. They're very dark sense of humor. The first one I have, this one's actually like a new reproduction, or I should say like a newer print. But this one's The Evil Garden by Edward Gorey. And this one definitely has like a darker theme to it, so I wouldn't recommend it for like very young children, even though like I said, I think his books were made for adults. But this one is what it's like, what the title says. It is an evil garden, and you know, bad things happen in the garden. I love his illustrations. That's what first drew me in. They're very Halloweenish in the sense of like kind of creepy in a good way. And so they're good books. If you enjoy illustrated books, just really, his illustrations are almost always black and white. And so if you could have guessed about the evil things happening in the garden, they definitely do. The gorgeous flowers have a smell that causes one to feel unwell. So even the flowers in the garden cause you. It's just, I don't know, I find it very funny. Yeah, like they're on the darker side, but they're just like, there's something also like whimsical about them. Okay, so these two aren't really as dark. They're not like, they're more like, yes, like a dark sense of humor, but way more kind of like quirky. So these are the Donald series. This is Donald and then this is Donald Has a Difficulty. So these actually, the author is this Peter, I don't know if it's Newmeyer. And then Edward Gorey just did the illustrations, which he did a lot of people's illustrations, other authors, but then like some of his works, like The Evil Garden, are just him. So this one is the first Edward Gorey book I was ever introduced to, and this one's a vintage copy. We don't have the dust jacket anymore. So look at this, how it's just beautiful. It's just gorgeous, his illustrations. I don't know if there's a third Donald book or not, or if there's just two. But it's like one day Donald and his mother, a beautiful lady, went to the garbage can. They go to the garbage, and look at the garbage can, how ornate. Like everything, like just her outfit, like everything's like so. And, you know, he looks in, and what does he see? At the bottom, they found what looked like a white worm. Oh, Donald, said his mother. I could just imagine, like, she's like, and what do you guess that is a white worm in a garbage can? Like, believe me, like, I don't normally like stuff like this. Like, if this would be photography, I would be, like, grossed out. But since it's done in the Edward Gorey style, because, of course, he did it, it's just something so, I don't know, just, like, artistic, of course, creative and odd. I just love his stuff. And it's just very bizarre and kind of gross, but then also beautiful at the same time. And so, yeah, like, and so it is a little white worm, a maggot, that turns into the fly. But yeah, like, it's just really peculiar, and I love it. Okay, and then this one's Donald Has a Difficulty. I would love to collect all of his work. I need to start looking for his books. I never find them locally. I need to just order some on like thrift stores online and stuff, bookstores. So this one's a little bit more like not gross really. He just has a splinter. It's like Donald has a splinter, and then his mom helps him. And this one's kind of almost like sweet. You know, it's just interesting because this author, it's like just to write a whole book about, you know, the last subject and then this one. It's just, I find it very interesting. I love books that are just like almost every page is just like a little bit different. It's just so unique. I love Allegory. Okay, so that is my Allegory collection, and I'm gonna create a new tradition to reread them every October. Yeah. Okay, so this one is, oh my gosh, this is my favorite Halloween-ish picture book. This is The Teeny Tiny Woman. Look how cute. It's just, it is teeny tiny. It's based on a folk tale. And it's so cute. I don't even know how we found this book. I think we found it at a thrift store when my daughter was like 3. It's very old and it's like falling apart. I believe you can still find it. I'm going to link everything that I can. And so it's like once upon a time there was a teeny tiny woman who lived in a teeny tiny house. I'm not going to say everything. I'm going to say, one day this teeny tiny woman put on her teeny tiny bonnet and went out to take a teeny tiny walk. She picked up the teeny tiny bone and took it to her teeny tiny house. It's just like the wordplay, the repetitive wordplay, and it's so cute. I don't want to like give away the ending, but it has like a it's not like scary, of course, but it's kind of like a spooky, creepy ending, and like of what happens when she takes the bone home. So I'm gonna leave that to your imagination. It's just really cute. I mean, it's just cute and in like a kind of mildly spooky way, and then the way it's done, teeny tiny, it's just so cute. And my daughter adores this book. I adore it, and I like to I'm gonna reread it in October, even though I just pretty much like it's pretty short. Okay, so let me continue with the picture books. I kind of got started. So I have some picture books, I have some novels and adult books. Okay, and then I have my daughter's list also. Okay, so these are all books that her and I are gonna read together, you know, and or separately the month of October. Let me continue with the picture book style. These two are 2 books from my childhood. This is Popcorn, a Frank Ash bear story. I love Frank Ash's illustrations. They're so simple, and just the simplicity of them is what makes them, they just draw your eye in, and it's all about Halloween, a Halloween party. And the imagery in this book has always stayed stuck in my head with the popcorn. Like they make popcorn and it feels like his entire, look at that. And it feels his entire house. It just pops and pops and pops. And I just love the imagery of the popcorn. And like all the little bears come in their different, costumes. Look at that. And it's just so cute. And this was my book. Actually, I had this book, but I lost it, and then I found this version at a thrift store to replace my book. But I had it when I was a child and then misplaced it somehow. And I don't know where a lot of my childhood books are. They just disappeared. I don't know if, okay. I love this book, and like I said, it's very Halloweenish. And then this one's just a classic, The Bernstein Bears Trick or Treat. And so this one's just a cute little typical Bernstein Bears story where, you know, they go trick-or-treating. She Made a Monster, how Mary Shelley created Frankenstein. So this is kind of like a picture book biography, and I have a twin to go with it. So I have little twins here. I'm going to first show you, this is a newer book for us. This is a picture book biography that tells a little bit about Mary Shelley's inspiration behind writing Frankenstein. And my daughter and I both read it when we first got it, and then I pulled it out and put it on her bookshelf among those other picture books for her to read the month of, actually I'm going to put them out October 1st. So yeah, so October 1st, I'm going to put all of these on her like little bookshelf. So yeah, so she can reread it. And I love the illustrations. Who did the illustrations? Did I say? So the illustrations are by, I'm not sure I pronounced the name, Felicita Sala. So yeah, so I really love this book that tells about the inspiration behind the novel. So now I'm gonna go into my TBR for October. So since I showed you guys Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, so when I bought this at Barnes & Noble like over a year ago, it was actually in the kids section, but I wasn't sure if it would be too scary for my daughter to read or not. And I personally want to read it anyway. I think a lot of people read it in high school or something like that, but and she's only in 5th grade, but I've been wanting to read it for years, and then I bought it, so I will definitely be trying it out. This is my starting October TBR. So October 1st or sometime in October, I will give it a try. Hopefully it won't be too scary for me, because I kind of tend to shy away from anything too scary that might give me nightmares. I know a lot about it, but then again, until you read something, I think you really don't know. So we'll see. Definitely a classic that's been on my list. Okay. So next is Coraline. Now this is kind of a combined TBR, because I bought this book for my daughter, but I also want to read it. And I asked her, I said, do you want to read it in October? And she's like, oh, I don't know, maybe not. So I want to read it in October, though. This is Neil Gaiman's Coraline. And we both saw the movie, but we haven't read the book. And again, it's a little bit creepy, but I don't think it'll be too scary. Hopefully not. I mean, the movie didn't give me nightmares or anything, but it's always different reading a book versus watching a movie. Sometimes movies can be more scary, but I really like the animation that they used for the film. But yeah, so this will be my first introduction to Neil Gaiman. So I'm really excited to give this a try in October. Okay, another one that's kind of scary, which is also middle grade, like Coraline. I believe this is middle grade. This is I'm not sure if I'm going to say this correct. I feel like I know how to say this in my head, but it comes out wrong. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I heard people say this so much, and I know it's a movie, but my brain doesn't form the words. So you guys can see. So this one, I'm hoping it's not gonna be scary. I literally will just stop reading it, DNF it if I think it's too scary. I also will introduce it to my daughter. She's actually not as scared as I am to read scary things. I think I was like that when I was a kid too. It's the older I get, the more scared I am of things. I think it's just insomnia as you get older. For me personally, it has just kind of been a struggle sometimes. Whereas when I was a kid, I had no issue sleeping. So for me, it's I don't like reading things that are going to keep me up. My brain's already active enough at night. That's part of the reason. So I will... Now, this one is told through photography as the medium for illustration, which I find fascinating because I have a concentration in photography. I studied visual arts, and my concentration was photography. So photography, it's rarely seen in books. It's like fiction. So I'm excited. Hopefully it won't be too scary. So it's definitely about an abandoned orphanage, a mysterious island, a collection of peculiar photographs, all waits to be discovered. Mixes fiction and photography in a thrilling reading experience. Hopefully I won't be too scared. If not, at least I'll give it a try. Okay, so this is a children's classic that this is my daughter's book. But I have been wanting to try this for years. I honestly never read it. I've read parts of it, things like that. Alice's Adventure in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. This is such a tiny version that I've been wanting to buy a hardcover for years. And I want to give myself the Christmas gift of buying a hardcover version of it for Christmas. But I'm you know what? I'm just going to put it on my TBR for October because I've been wanting to try it for so long. I'm just going to try this small version because I actually got some new reading glasses and see if I like it. Everyone is familiar with the story, but I just want to sit down and try it. So, okay, my last two before I get to my daughters, which are more middle grade and YA-ish. Actually, not my last two. I have two and then series. Okay. They're adults. So this one's speaking same with the theme of Halloween, scary, not Halloween, but kind of scary, is Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. So this one, I've been terrified to read Anne Rice my whole life. No, since I've heard of her, because I'm from Louisiana. She based a lot of her novels in New Orleans, and so she's very well known. In Louisiana as a writer and things like that. I've even seen her house in New Orleans. I've gone to, drive by it and stuff like that, like a big nerd. But anyway, I've always been scared to read. her books. So this will be my first try. I'm terrified of vampires, but I heard her writing is beautiful. I actually bought this for my husband, but I'm not going to really talk too much about it. I think a lot of people know, it's about vampires, and this is book 1 of the Vampire Chronicles. So I will give it a try. If it's not too gory or anything detailed about like blood and stuff like that, I will be able to continue it. But this is very much an adult book, of course. And I want to try it in the month of October. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be brave. Okay, so the next one is nonfiction. I'm not going to say the title in case any of you have young ones around. This is like an adult channel, but it's not like that bad of a word. It's not like a word I don't say, but I'm not going to say it on camera. But it's just like, I've been dealing with a lot of these people lately. I've been having really bad luck lately. And so I bought this book many months ago at Barnes & Noble, and it's by Aaron James. It's nonfiction. I've just had such a hard time picking up nonfiction lately. Years ago, I read so much nonfiction, and I've just been like not drawn towards nonfiction at all. So it's been really hard. I told myself I need to just try it. So I told myself I'm going to try it the month of October because this is my October TBR. So yeah, it's just a nonfiction book about difficult people that I'm sure all of you have dealt with. And like I said, I have my whole life. Of course, everyone has. But lately, I've just had too many of them, like just a lot. And I think it'd be perfect timing for me to deal with this book. Okay, so now my next series is not a Halloween theme, of course. Not all of those books were, but this one's more of like a fall theme. Yet, I think it'd be a really good series I want to tell you guys about as an adult if you want to try for the month of like Halloween. October going forward. Okay, these are an adult animal mystery series. I think I've mentioned them quite a few times, but this is a Shady Hollow series. And they're not scary. So these I want to reread. That's why I'm showing them. So this is book 1. And Juno Black is like 2 authors, 2 women that write together. This is book 1, book 2 and book 3. So I read all 3, really, really liked all 3, and then I pre-ordered the 4th one. So I'm going to be getting the 4th one. I believe it's set to mail like November 7th. So I want to reread them starting probably in October because they're pretty short reads. I mean, they're like 200-ish pages. A group of animals that live in this town. It's called Shady Hollow. And they have, the main protagonist is a fox named Vera Vixen. She's a reporter. And so she's solving a crime. Each book has a crime. The crimes are not hard to solve at all. Like, I was always pretty much right about the crimes, but of course you don't know every single detail to the end. So that's why I think they're just fun. It's kind of just like fun hanging out with the characters, and I'm anxiously waiting for the 4th one. So I recommend these if you like mysteries that aren't too scary, and they'd be good fall reads. Okay, so now my daughters. So my daughter has quite a huge TBR pile, but I asked her to pick her top 3. So she picked kind of books that are like Halloween theme-ish that she's like excited to read. This one is The Sisters Grimm by Michael Buckley, the fairy tale detectives book 1. This is middle grade. Since it's like based on Grimm fairy tales, she thought it would work really well for kind of maybe like it could be spooky. She actually read this years ago from a library, but she really wanted to reread the series. And she didn't finish the series or anything. So she's going to be starting over. And basically, there's a mysterious disappearance of these 2 sisters, Sabrina and Daphne, of their parents. They're sent to live with their grandmother. And then Granny reveals that these girls have 2 famous ancestors, the Brothers Grimm, whose classic book of fairy tales is actually a collection of case files of magical mischief. So that sounds pretty interesting. So yeah, so this is her number 1 book, I believe, for October. This is her 2nd. Now this one looks a little bit like darker. Hopefully it won't be too dark. I believe this is YA. This is called Cinder, The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, yeah. Okay, so this one, Yeah, like I said, I believe this one is a little bit older. I think it's YA, and it's a series. It's based on loosely based, I guess, on Cinderella, and it's like, yeah, so humans and androids crowd the streets of New Beijing. A deadly plague ravages the population. Ooh, a deadly plague, yikes. From space, a ruthless lunar people watch, waiting to make their move. No one knows that Earth's fate hinges on one girl. 16-year-old Cinder, a gifted mechanic, is a cyborg. So this one sounds like a little bit, like you could tell by the cover, like kind of science fiction-y. This one sounds like interesting to her. She really likes, fairy tales and fantasy, and she's not scared of like anything scary like I am. I don't know. Okay, so next, this is not Halloween or scary at all, but this has just been on her TBR. This is Wings of Fire Legends Dark Stalker.
So it's an add-on to the series. It's about
an add-on?
Yeah. It's about another dragon. He's like a legend. Like he's one of the most powerful dragons in Pivia, and that's why this book is about him.
So it's from one of the characters from Wings of Fire?
Yeah.
Okay. And is this like a series or?
No.
It's just a one standalone? Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, so this one, like I said, it's not like October themed or anything, Halloween or anything. But yeah, so this one's, she's excited to read it, and that's one of her top 3 on her TBR. So yeah, you guys, that's everything for our October TBRs. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thanks so much. Bye.